Minecraft, Fortnite, Pokemon. All of these games were made for younger audiences, but ended up moving beyond those boundaries. They have normal parts of their communities, as well as some weird parts. For every normal Minecraft player, there is one that is obsessive.
Feels so awkward.
For every casual Fortnite player, there's one dude that... For every Pokemon fan, there's one that... Roblox is not this. Roblox's community is a totally different Lovecraftian beast. For every normal player, there are 3 that exist within each of the previous game's weird categories, and then some. In this video, I want to explore the communities of Roblox that lie beneath the flashy corporate language and the kid-safe seal. Roblox has laid a thin white sheet over its community to please investors and parents alike. However, one peek under that very sheet reveals what I believe to be one of the most toxic, dark, and destructive communities to ever exist online. This is going to be a multi-part series, one video for each destructive corner of the community. Today, we're going to be focusing on the corner of Roblox that has to do with the exploiting and hacking empires that have dominated the platform for nearly half a decade. However, this isn't going to be about the, quote, 14-year-old fly hacking and Phantom Forces type of exploiting. Rather, it'll be about exploiting as a business, both on and off the platform. What I hope to accomplish in these videos is to broaden the public's understanding of the inner workings of Roblox, as well as to raise awareness for how dangerous many of these communities are, at least in part. The world of exploiting is an incredibly intricate and delicate balance between exploit developers and Roblox themselves. Roblox, trying to exert control over the exploiting scene, has made numerous attempts to try and stomp out exploit development, mostly by introducing new methods of detection. However, as this happens, the exploiting market always finds a way around it. This has led to a very cunning and intelligent exploit development world, full of only the best and brightest coders on Roblox. Today, I want to show you the behind-the-scenes world of hacking and exploiting that has plagued, or, to some people, enhanced Roblox for over a decade. I'm not going to go super in-depth into the history of exploiting itself, as I've already done a video on it, but allow me to summarize it quickly. Exploiting, since around 2016, has increasingly entered the Roblox limelight as its use has grown exponentially. What we see here is a chicken or the egg scenario, though, as one can view its meteoric rise through 2 contradictory lenses. Did the explosion of exploiting result from its sudden ease of access through the rise of exploits like Synapse, or did exploits that employed mass market tactics actually cause this explosion? It's tough to say, and I'm sure both exploiting veterans and new players will express different views. But, in that same vein, exploiting has become an economic superpower of sorts at this point. Using relatively cheap and stable methods, users can exploit games for fun, to troll, or to use as a tool. Now, with exploiting's mass market appeal that grows as the platform grows, it is essentially turned into an empire. Let's start with a simple question. Why do people even exploit, and what draws them to the community per se? Well, the first one is surprisingly simple, even though it has multiple answers. It almost always boils down to 2 things: to use as a utility, including to give the user an unfair advantage, and to troll. What draws them into this community, though, is a different question. For some, it may involve mutual relationships for the gain of others and themselves. In fact, this might be the most common reason by far many join the community. If you're not a developer, you're going to have to get scripts from people who can actually make them. By using a certain developer's script, regardless of whether or not it was copied from an original developer, you're supporting their work. This is especially the case if you're paying for a script they developed. This simple fact is what has allowed a sizable yet low-contact casual community to coagulate around the sharing of scripts and script concepts. However, there is another side of this community, one that involves an actual living community of people who share similar thoughts and ideas about exploiting. Like most communities on the internet, these close-knit versions of a larger community are often either the most supportive and friendly, or the most destructive and toxic places on the internet. Unfortunately for the exploiting community, the latter is what applies here. Another concept we'll run into later on in this video is the idea of ratting. Essentially, a rat is a form of Trojan virus that is used to gain administrator-level access to a victim's PC, hence the acronym standing for Remote Access Trojan. Oftentimes, the offender will use social engineering and/or manipulation tactics to trick an unsuspecting victim into installing or running a piece of software. Sometimes, these methods of trickery can involve exploits of everyday pieces of software. One of the most infamous versions of these software exploits are the use of program macros to run malicious code after opening a file as basic as an Excel spreadsheet. Although the means may be different, the end is usually the same. The offender is given full access to interact with your PC, even being given abilities that a basic user might not even have. This usually leads to a combination of different things: the stealing of personal data, such as passwords and location info, as well as the ability to run things such as Bitcoin miners and/or destructive malware in a deliberate attempt to brick the victim's PC. Frequently, though, you'll hear stories of this kind of thing happening as a form of revenge, to gain clout, or to extract a reward of some kind. Either way, it'll be a crucial part of the story, even if it does not directly involve Roblox themselves. Now, with that out of the way, let's get on to the interview. What you're about to listen to is an interview I conducted with a once infamous member of this community. He is going to give his history in the community as well as his experience there. A community you don't hear Roblox talk about, and something the media has only scratched the surface of, most importantly. You're going to hear stories ranging from petty attacks to dangerous exploits that show Roblox's inefficacy when it comes to dealing with their own platform. So, stay tuned. This is about to be a hell of an interview. But before we begin, really quickly, disclaimer. By interviewing this individual, I in no way endorse or support these actions and heavily discourage anyone from partaking in them. Do not attempt to replicate any actions that are discussed in this interview. Just be smart. So, just kind of give the audience a general overview of your history in the community.
Where do I start? I mean, it's really okay. We'll start out with exporting. So when I really got into exporting, the first thing I saw was this like Wicked at Pizza Place thing. It was like 2015, 2014. I think it was like Spend or something. I don't know. It was some weird script executor, but that was back when non-FE was like the mainstream. I really got into it. I didn't get into Verm till later on. Yeah, mostly 2016 is when I got to around Verm. I really shouldn't have it. I really regret it, but other than that, that's when I really got into exporting. So around that time, I actually bought one of my first exploits, right? And back then I just used to use free exploits. And like, you know, those RC7 free logins that they would hand out, those 2-minute mem checks or 5-minute. I mean, it was decently popular, but like, it was one of those like cons. It worked, but it was like a keylogger. So luckily, well, not really luckily, I did lose something because of it. One of my Roblox accounts, everything was deleted, everything was gone. I lost pretty much everything. Now here is the point where I go to Mammalian, right? These were still the Skype days. I don't really remember too much from this time, but it was literally just me being a skid. You know, one of those new people that would just run anything, use any scripts. But I will skip to the juicy stuff. Later on in 2017 is when I learned how to script. My first language, Lua. Now, I started releasing scripts on Verm. I started to become more known. I started getting reputation, contacts, stuff like that. And that's when it all started. That is when it all went down, because I lost it all, just like that. Basically, I got banned off Verm. My first ban was for scamming, right? However, it was completely targeted and false, but the moderator, it was a complete false ban. There was a false community warning made about me, and immediately after that, I got banned. It was falsified evidence.
So you can already see the pointless levels of toxicity that go on in this community. Stuff that really to the average person just boggles the mind. Why did this person even have to do this in the first place? There was really no reason behind it as far as I was given, and it was almost just to be a dick, it seemed.
Yeah, it was like me scamming like what, $10? Yeah, no, I'm not gonna do that. This was around the time one of my old PCs caught on fire or something.
What the?
So I wasn't even around. So this had to be like calculated, like one of my friends, right? Who knew my PC just blew up, so that they could easily just literally impersonate me. And that's when I started getting hatred for them, right? Of course, I still like some of its people, right? It's just at the moderation and higher ups. It's basically like a cult. Uh, I figured out. I mean, this was around the time I started to grow up, right? I started to understand things more, but then I was still childish. So around this time, like I said, I found out it was basically a cult. All the higher ups were just like sucking each other off. When I started getting hatred, well, before I even started getting hatred for them, I was still ratting through like RC7 cracks on YouTube, right? I was one of those people that did that. I mean, like just for fun. I wasn't getting rid of their like System 32 or anything. I wasn't one of those people. However, that's when I started to rat on Verm, right? And like a bunch of discords. The thing with Verm is that because it's a cult, you literally, if this higher up person, if they have high reputation and they hate this person, you are obligated to hate them. So you got this mob after me. Long story short, fast forward, I'd say 1-2 years. I was with my ratting buddy, right? I ratted this guy named Daniel Nyward or whatever his name was. Me and him ratted some Roblox exporting YouTuber. Their names was Daniel Nyward, right? We ratted him. We stole his YouTube account. That's where my name started to get out more and more and more. At that point, through the exploit, the owner of Synapse actually tried to blacklist me, but he failed. Other than that, that's when my name started to go around. That's when I became extremely known. That's when everybody knew me, right? Do you know a Roblox YouTuber named Nate Vang, I think is the name? Me and the same ratting buddy actually ratted him, but we didn't take over his YouTube channel. But we did go on his website and replace all the download links. It wasn't really known, I don't think. No, it's a different guy, Nate Vang. We Are Devs. We Are Devs was Daniel Nywell. It's we replaced the We Are Devs link on there as well.
To me, it's honestly unreal the depth that most of this goes to. Seeing him talk about things like ratting other YouTubers and hacking into the APIs of their website to actually, probably hack a lot of other people is honestly like crazy. Nobody talks about this stuff happening, mostly because it's swept under the rug or just kept quiet. So again, take this video as an opportunity to have a peek behind the veil at a lot of what happens under Roblox's nose. Moving away from the individual aspects of hacking, let's talk more about the business and the things that go on behind the scenes that many of these exploit developers don't really talk about.
Let me talk a little bit about exploits. Now, the thing with exploits is what people don't seem to realize is they have everything. They log everything. Now, the reason I know this is because I had another guy I ratted with. He went along and ratted as an AppSex developer. So we managed to get our hands on IMV source code, Synapse source code, and a bunch of other stuff. So they had to release the source code for Synapse now. The thing is, the reason why I know they log everything is because after they found out who did it, all his information was leaked in Synapse announcements. Lots of things that were like personal got leaked, like IP, computer name, MAC address, and a bunch of other stuff like Roblox account. Some other details I probably shouldn't mention. Lots of that stuff was leaked. But basically what people don't realize is these exploits, even script hubs and stuff like that, they can log everything. And if you piss one of them off, you'll have a whole mob after you with your information. That's like a really scary thing. And that's actually one of the reasons why I quit in general.
So for one final question, where do you see exploiting going in the future?
Right now, it's gonna turn into, well, in the future, it's gonna turn into a huge monopoly. Vim is undergoing like an owner change or something. From what I've seen, the new owner said that there's gonna be like a Vim council. The thing is, everybody in there has giant egos, right? They're all gonna suck each other off, and now it's gonna be 10 times worse because if you piss one of them off, you piss all of them off, and now they have a whole multitude of connections where you can actually get swatted now if they don't like you.
As we heard from the interview, the exploiting community isn't just made up of angry 14-year-olds with a hankering to ruin Logan Puppy 12's game of Adopt Me. It's a complex market of buyers, sellers, developers, and users. But even more so, there's much more that meets the eye here. Lots of favoritism, aggressive behavior, and illegal acts are a regular part of this community. I know a lot of you out there assumed it was only a small buyer and seller's market that people use simply to get ahead in this block game, but now it is much more clear that so much more happens outside of Roblox too in terms of exploiting and hacking. One of the parts I found most interesting, as per the interviewee's words, was the part where he discussed how most of the exploit developers hold on to a lot of the user's private information. This is something many people just assume isn't really happening, even when it's exposed time and time again. Especially when those holding onto your data are inept and or extremely volatile, it can be a serious liability. On a similar note, hearing about the level of abuse this community puts upon itself is frankly bewildering. Rather than combining efforts to achieve something they would perceive as meaningful, they just attack each other and rarely seem to behave cohesively for their own survival. As the interviewee suggested, it has become a cult in its behavior. Everybody stays in line until they feel the need to break form, and they are punished severely for it. To me, there is no logical reason that I can deduce as to how this community still exists given its self-destructive nature. Of course, I can't prove the legitimacy of all of the claims, but I can attest to seeing community figures such as ice pools being brought down. Provided all of the claims are true, this community has serious problems with accountability and forming a healthy culture of openness and actual human decency. Ironically, much like the furry community. Lots of the information discussed here can sound a bit overwhelming, especially to those entirely unfamiliar with the exploiting community. So, if you'd like to ask questions and or discuss further, feel free to join my Discord. The link will be in the description. As mentioned earlier, this is part 1 of a multi-part series, of which the topics will be revealed later on. Again, join my Discord to be the first to hear about that. Anyways, I'll see you guys in part 2.